It is that time, our final Cleveland Browns mock draft. I'm sure everyone watching is getting a little bit tired of everywhere they look, everyone's posting a screenshot of their mock draft, and everyone's saying it's awful or it's unrealistic. But we will go through one last time a Cleveland Browns full 7-round mock draft. Now, I am doing my best to try and mock what Andrew Berry is going to do because I'm not the GM, so what I think doesn't really matter, right? I want to predict what Andrew Berry is going to do. So I'm going to do that by going off previous drafts and looking at tendencies he may have developed. Now, before we look at my full 7-round mock draft, we will be live for all 3 days of the NFL draft here at Chat Sports. So hang out with yours truly, Matthew Peterson, over on our main channel, The Mothership, as we will break down every single pick, one through Mr. Irrelevant, over at our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Now, one last time, let's refresh everyone's memories on what Cleveland is working with in 2023. They've got a pair of threes, a pair of fours, a pair of fives. It sounds like a decent hand of gin rummy. Let's see how that turns out in the NFL draft. Now, before we even get on the clock, I made a trade. I couldn't help myself. I was watching Draft Day, a draft tradition, and I was reminded that the Jags GM in the movie was kind of a dum-dum. So I called Jacksonville and made a deal where we moved back from pick 74 to pick 88. I know it's a bit cowardish. No one likes moving back more in the draft, but I think long-term, this is good for the Browns. They pick up a future third. They might have to kick an extra pick back to Jacksonville to make this trade go through. But all in all, I like the idea of the Browns adding 2024 draft picks, right? They will be less active in free agency last year. I've been harping on this for quite some time, but we've got some new viewers tuning in right now, so I'm going to say it one more time for everyone in the back. The 2023 draft for the Browns is more or less non-factor based on their starting lineup, 22 guys going into this season. They are not looking to fill out the rest of their roster in this draft. In 2024, that may very well be the case. So I'm going to try and add as many early day or day 2, early day 3 picks as I can, with the Browns still not having a first-round pick next season. So once we move back, this was the selection. Kobie Turner, defensive tackle out of Wake Forest. I know people are wondering, are they going to go edge rusher? Are they going to go defensive line? Could they even go offensive tackle? Ultimately, I landed with the Wake Forest defensive tackle. He was a long-time starter for Richmond before transferring to Wake Forest, where he was a rotational guy for just one season. He has extreme athleticism, a 7.083 cone drill. Now, I know that might not make a ton of sense, and you don't know if that's good or bad. 7 seconds is sort of the line to shoot for, right? That is an elite cone drill. For him to be 6'2", 293 pounds, and be doing a better 3-cone drill than some edge rushers like Zach Harrison from Ohio State or Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame, that is eye-popping types of numbers right there. Now, in his career, he was very productive, 43.5 tackles for loss. Last season for the Demon Deacons, like I said, just a rotational player, but he was impactful when he was on the field. 38 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. PFF graded him out 92.2. That is redonkulous. Then I look at the Browns' defensive line right now, and there's a lot of question marks in between Myles Garrett and Obo. You have Dalvin Tomlinson. He's a surefire starter, no questions asked. But after him, is it going to be Jordan Elliott for year 2? Year 1 did not make me think he should start the next season. Then there's Perion Winfrey, which is a whole separate video. Tommy Togiai likely might not even make the roster. And then you got some veterans like Tristan Hill and Maurice Hurst who are going to compete to just make the 53-man roster, let alone be a starting defensive tackle week 1. Now, Kobie Turner, or his nickname, The Conductor, outstanding character, high football IQ kind of guy, a player that all 32 teams want to see in their locker room. He also fits the mold of an Andrew Berry defensive tackle. AB has not drafted huge 300-pound-plus run-stopping DTs before. He wants to find athletic defensive tackles. That is Kobie Turner, so that's why I went with him late round 3. Now, I did move back to make this pick, so what do you guys think about that? Should the Browns trade back in this draft? I understand waiting till 74 is a long wait and you want to make a pick earlier, but I think trading back and getting picks for next year when you need it more is the sneaky good move long-term for Cleveland. Now, after trading back, the Browns still have their comp pick at 98, and here I went with everyone's favorite. I couldn't resist it. Jammie Robinson, the strong safety, free safety, nickel, wherever you want to put him, from Tallahassee. 5'11", $191, a bit undersized. I think teams would like to see him 10 pounds heavier. Now, he was a 3-year starter between South Carolina and Florida State. A nasty run stopper, just vicious in that department. He's got average speed. He's not going to absolutely blow you out of the water with it. What I do like a lot about him, for Cleveland specifically, is in Tallahassee, he played some nickel for the Seminoles. The Browns are looking for a new nickel corner. I don't know if Jammie Robinson can be that guy full term, but he could definitely step into that role if needed. Now, here are his stats from last season. 99 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 5 pass breakups. He was one of the best players in the ACC last season, all ACC. All those accolades came along with it. 1 interception, led the team in tackling. Then I think, where would he fit for this Browns defensive room in the safety department? They just signed Juan Thornhill to a 3-year contract. Grant Delpit is entering the last year of his contract. So if Delpit does not play well this year, boom, you've already found your replacement for 2024. That's one less hole you have to fill next year. Or if Delpit sort of plays kind of like Julian Love or even Juan Thornhill for that matter, where he plays well enough that he's going to get some interest in free agency, and the Browns might be priced out because they don't have a ton of money to spend in 2024. He is a must-have in this draft. This is the player that if another team drafts him, boo-hoo. We kidnap him and we bring him back to Northeast Ohio. We are not leaving Kansas City without Jammie Robinson. That is the plan, right? This is our Nathan for you. The plan, steal Jammie Robinson no matter the cost. Moving on to round 4, early day 3, I went linebacker from Alabama, Henry To'oTo'o. 6'1", 227 pounds. A bit on the smaller size, no doubt about it. You can already imagine guards meeting him in the second level and seeing a 230-pound linebacker. They're going to displace him easy. He was a 4-year starter in the SEC. So to those that say he's too small to play in the NFL consistently, he played against NFL offensive linemen for 4 straight years in the SEC and did more than just okay. He was a highly decorated player, 3-time All-SEC kind of guy. He plays bigger than his size. I think this could be a sleeper, a gem, right, where teams are overlooking him thinking, yeah, he was productive in college, but there's always guys who fill out the stat sheet in college, but it doesn't translate always to the NFL. I think To'oTo'o might actually be the outlier here. His last 2 seasons for Alabama, if you put up 205 tackles and 15.5 tackles for loss for Nick Saban, like, you're going to get some attention. Why he doesn't get more, I'm honestly not so sure. I think with the Browns linebacker room being a nice placeholder for just 2023, but I don't know if I can count on any of those guys in 2024 with a gun to my head. You should start thinking ahead. And Henry To'oTo'o could be that Anthony Walker, high football IQ. Everything runs through him. He's the heart and soul of the middle of the defense. An extremely productive player for 4 years in the SEC. Started at Tennessee, transferred to Alabama, sat behind me in geography class my senior year. I'm all in day 3 on Henry To'oTo'o from Tuscaloosa. Now, make sure to subscribe if you have not already. Do not miss out on any draft coverage we will have for you guys. All 3 days, well, I guess really just 2 days for us. But, hey, we're going to have pick-by-pick analysis, so make sure to sub if you have not already. Let's get back to our mock draft by reminding everyone the picks that we have made so far. Kobie Turner, after making a trade with the Jags to move back 14 spots, Jammie Robinson, and then Henry To'oTo'o. So, first 3 picks on the side of the football that needs it the most, the defense. So with that, I present to you guys another trade. I made a deal with the Raiders, moving back from round 4 to round 5. In return, picking up a future 4th-round pick. I sent them this year's 7th because the Raiders are full of idiots and they would love an extra 7th-round pick. Although we know 7th-round picks never amount to anything, essentially. So I bounced back from 126 to 141. And I'm going to show you in reason part of why I made this trade. But at 140, the first pick the Browns actually own, not the Raiders pick at 141, I went wide receiver from West Virginia, Bryce Ford-Wheaton. He's going to be the Cinderella, the ultimate draft sleeper that ESPN and everyone like us here at Chat Sports will be talking about as we get into day 3 of the NFL draft. So I went Bryce Ford-Wheaton in round 5 to kickstart things at pick 140. Bryce Ford-Wheaton was an extreme athlete when he was in West Virginia in Morgantown. When you look at the wide receiver room right now for Cleveland, you've got a lot of good faces for 2023. I wonder if they would like to start planning ahead, right? Amari Cooper could very well be a cap casualty. You're not drafting a guy in round 5 of 2023 to replace Amari Cooper, but you're definitely thinking ahead a little bit here, and you want to start bringing in some competition. Now, he is 6'3" and ran a 4.38 40. That size and combination of speed does not come around every single NFL draft. So to find that type of talent, to find that type of size and speed in day 3, yeah, I'll figure out the talent issues later because, in my opinion, that is what day three picks are all about. High ceiling type of players who can contribute on special teams. He was never extremely productive in West Virginia, never went over 700 yards. His yards per reception went down by the season. But if you watched that West Virginia pick game to start the backyard brawl last year at college football, West Virginia's quarterback play only got worse as the season went along. I am sure Deshaun Watson could find a nice role for a 6'3", 4.38 40 wide receiver. After Bryce Ford-Wheaton, we picked up this 141 pick from the Raiders, and I went Chase Brown, running back from Illinois. Now, he's originally from north of the border, so for all of our Canadian viewers watching right now, this pick goes out to you guys. But I selected Chase Brown from Illinois because I am thinking a little bit long-term here, right? And I'm thinking, I wonder what the Browns are trying to do for the post-Nick Chubb era. The Fighting Illini running back last season posted 1,600 yards, 13 total touchdowns. He was one of the top FBS rushing leaders in all of the land. He is a well-rounded running back. He doesn't have crazy bursts, but he also doesn't have a glaring weakness. Maybe he's not the best in pass protection, but that's something that running back coaches can work on. With Chubb having a $16.2 million cap hit in 2024, we have to have the awkward conversation, unfortunately, of facing the reality that Nick Chubb's not going to be here forever. And if the Browns see a bit of a dip in production next season from him, don't be shocked to look around and see guys like Dalvin Cook, who might be out of Minnesota. Well, Nick Chubb might be in a similar position if the Browns decide we need to save money, so we're going to try and draft a replacement this year, kind of have a competition between this guy and Jerome Ford to see who might be the future bell cow back of this team. So just start planning ahead a little bit in day 3 of 2023. After Chase Brown in round 5, this is why I really wanted to make the trade with the Raiders. The Browns get 3 straight picks, and with 142, I went defensive tackle yet again, Jerrod Clark from Coastal Carolina. This is one of my favorite players in this draft. Why? Because he is exactly what the Browns need. Last season, 40 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. He flew under the radar. He didn't play Power 5 football. But you know what he is? One of the best run-stopping defensive tackles in this entire draft class. He is 6'3", 334 pounds, so much heavier than Kobie Turner, but he is going to clog up the middle of the defensive line, and he's simply going to be a tree stump that can move a little bit more, right? That's why I like Jerrod Clark over guys actually like Siaki Ike, because those players are ginormous, and they're going to make life difficult for guards and centers. but they're never actually going to disrupt the offensive line all that much and make some penetration. Jerrod Clark is going to get into the backfield. For being that big of a guy, he's got pretty good speed and a good first step. I think this is a great defensive tackle to help stop the run, which is what the Browns really need to address after last season. Because need I remind you, the Atlanta Falcons rushed it, 17 straight times, 18 straight times against the Browns? The Chargers posted 238 rushing yards when they entered Cleveland as the worst rushing team in football. Jerrod Clark's going to come in and help day one. To round out the mock draft, remember, no round 7 pick. We traded that to Vegas. So at round 6, pick 190, I went Wanya Morris, tackle from Oklahoma. Originally a big-time recruit to Tennessee, ended up transferring to Norman. 37 career starts, 19 at left tackle, 8 at right tackle. He's also really young, which is a nice change of pace because there are some grandpas in this draft. If the Browns decide not to pick up Jed Wills' 5th year, well, I think they have a really good offensive line coach in Bill Callahan who can make something with Wanya Morris, 6'5", 307 pounds, and maybe have him ready in 2024 to fill in at left tackle potentially. So to recap what we did in this mock draft, we went Kobie Turner, defensive tackle from Wake Forest, Jammie Robinson, a safety out of FSU, Henry To'oTo'o from Alabama as a linebacker, so 3 defensive picks to start. Then we get a run on offense with Bryce Ford-Wheaton and Chase Brown. Jerrod Clark's going to help the defensive line some more. Wanya Morris is going to be a good swing tackle in this league, and he has some upside at starting potentially. And then we picked up a future 3rd and a future 4th. Those are very important acquisitions in this draft. Weight that in when you grade my mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. I'm giving myself a B- because this is not a draft to help deliver 2023 contributors. I am looking for guys that can help in 2024 when you might be losing some of your starters this season. I'm also adding picks to 2024. I like the Kobie Turner and Jerrod Clark picks to help beef up the interior, the defensive line. And Henry To'oTo'o and Jammie Robinson might not see a huge role in 2023, but they very well could be starters in 2024 or 2025. That is it for my final round, 7-round mock draft. We might do one after the first day of the draft, so stay tuned for that. We'll sign off and see everyone later.